The GOAT debate in the NBA has raged for years, but recently it took a bold new turn. On ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Charles Tay came together to confront a growing issue in basketball culture. LeBron James declaring himself the greatest of all time. These respected voices didn't hold back. What followed was a ruthless reality check, not just for LeBron, but for the millions who've accepted his self-appointed GOAT status without question. They dissected the narrative, exposed the arrogance, and dug into the uncomfortable truth behind the championships.
They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him and his camp. Steph Curry hasn't said that about himself. Steph Curry has never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Reggie Miller never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Allen Houston never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody called themselves the greatest in anything but that man and his camp.
Charles Tay led off by echoing Stephen A.'s sharp critique. The issue isn't just that LeBron has titles, it's how he got them. Charles argued that team stacking became a consistent tactic in LeBron's career. He posed a tough question. If Jordan had followed the same formula, would he have 10 rings?
Stephen A. Smith mistakenly exposed himself and the fact that LeBron really shouldn't be in the top three, and LeBron James stacked teams to get to where he is. So as he was talking about it, Stephen A. Smith then says he's wrong about not having LeBron in the top three, but he's right by saying had Michael Jordan stacked teams to win championships, he would have had like 10 championships. So then the question then becomes, so if LeBron never stacked teams, how many championships would he have, Stephen A. Smith?
It's not about denying LeBron's greatness. It's about challenging the purity of the path he chose. Did the victories come from unmatched individual dominance or calculated team building? Without super teams, would LeBron still have his rings? That's the core of Charles's argument. The path matters. And LeBron's path, compared to Jordan's, raises serious doubts. Then Stephen A. went further. He took aim at LeBron's branding, the curated image, the narrative control, the subtle pressure from LeBron's camp for the public to accept his GOAT status as fact, and that, according to Stephen A., is the real problem. Unlike Jordan, Kareem, Kobe, or even Steph, who let the world decide their legacy, LeBron branded himself as the greatest, and that self-promotion is exactly what separates him from the legends who came before. In doing so, he invited criticism that the others never had to face. Stephen A. Smith sees it as more than just a humility issue. It's about respect. Respect for the game, for those who paved the way, and for the legacy that greatness earns, not demands. According to him, real legends don't chase the crown. They let history place it on their heads. LeBron tried to compel the world to call him the greatest, and in doing so, broke an unspoken code. Then Michael Wilbon added fuel to the fire, recalling private conversations with Kobe and Jordan, both of whom never called themselves the GOATs, despite having every right to. Instead, they deflected praise, lifting up peers and predecessors, showing humility and reverence for the sport. Wilbon made a powerful point. The only athlete who ever rightfully declared himself the greatest was Muhammad Ali. But Ali earned that title not just through boxing, but by changing the world outside the ring, through activism, sacrifice, and legacy far beyond sport. So Wilbon posed the hard question, what has LeBron done outside of basketball to deserve that kind of status?
They point to other guys, as you know, and say, oh, wait. Kobe and Michael would say, wait a minute, he didn't win as many championships with Jerry West. Hold on, you better mention Kareem. They would all mention Bill Russell. So the notion that anyone is saying, I'm the greatest, there's one guy in the history of sports I give total pass to saying I'm the greatest, and that's where GOAT comes from, Muhammad Ali. He's the only one who gets to say, I'm the greatest. Ali invented the conversation. He was, and to me still is, the greatest because he didn't just change his sport. He didn't just change sports. He changed the world.
Changed society.
He changed the nation's position on war.
It's a brutal but fair comparison because there's a difference between dominating a game and changing history. In Wilbon's eyes, LeBron might be one of the greats, but claiming the throne himself? That's not greatness. That's self-glorification. Charles Tay jumps back in with a cold dose of reality, and this time, he's not holding back. He breaks down how LeBron's championships were built, arguing that when titles come from assembling super teams, their weight becomes questionable. It's not just about the rings, it's about how they were earned, and that distinction matters. Then Charles throws down a challenge. If fans applaud LeBron for team stacking, why do they rage when someone like David Falk calls it out? That's not hate, that's hypocrisy. Charles isn't just stirring the pot for controversy, he's demanding consistency. If LeBron's career path is valid, then critics like Falk have a right to question it. But instead of logical rebuttals, we get outrage, deflection, and emotional meltdowns. That only proves Charles's point. In this game, respect is earned through merit, not manipulation. Rising through adversity isn't the same as stacking the deck. And every time someone exposes this truth, LeBron's fan base doesn't fight back with facts. They scramble to protect the myth. That's when Charles makes his harshest point yet.
Or rather, since we do know that LeBron stacked his teams and he won 4 championships, how do you respect that? And how does that get a pass? How? Because you're inadvertently admitting that LeBron did stack his teams, and that's how he won championships. So how do you respect that?
LeBron fans and logic are natural enemies, not as an insult, but as a diagnosis. He calls it like it is. This fan base built its argument not on reality, but on emotion. They dodge accountability, cherry-pick stats, rewrite narratives, and turn every critique into an attack. It's not about greatness anymore, it's about protecting a brand. Every time LeBron is challenged, Charles Tay's frustration doesn't stem from LeBron himself. It's from the refusal of his supporters to even entertain criticism. That blind loyalty, that refusal to engage in honest debate is what's corroding basketball discourse. When logic disappears, all that's left is tribalism. And in that kind of environment, real debate dies.
I've listened to every argument there is out there for why LeBron should be considered the GOAT or next to Michael. I've pretty much heard them all. And out of the abundance of arguments that I've heard, not one of them is rooted in any kind of logic or sense. It's just rooted in a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of twerking, and a bunch of honey slinging.
That's what Charles is fighting for. Not clout, not controversy, but clarity. He wants the conversation around greatness to return to principles, not passion. Until fans are willing to judge based on reason, not emotion, the GOAT debate remains broken. Then Charles makes one of his most unapologetic statements yet. He strips down every argument used to put LeBron over Michael Jordan and calls them what they are. Emotional takes dressed up as logic, not one rooted in facts. All of them built on hype, social media spin, fan delusion, and personal bias. Charles has heard every defense, every debate clip, every viral stat, and finds them hollow. Not because LeBron isn't great, but because the structure of the argument is flawed. If the foundation is weak, the conclusion is worthless. The entire debate has been hijacked by noise, and that noise is being used to build a myth. So Charles draws a line in the sand. If you're going to debate this, bring facts, context, and truth. Anything else? You're just echoing a lie for clicks and clout. After everything said by Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon, and Charles Tay, the message is clear. Greatness cannot be self-declared. LeBron James may be one of the most talented athletes the NBA has ever seen, but legacy, that's not for him to crown. That belongs to the game and history to decide. Title carries weight, history, humility, legacy. Jordan never had to say it. Kobe never had to say it. Even Kareem let his game speak. Only Muhammad Ali earned the right to call himself the greatest, not just for what he did in the ring, but for what he did for humanity. That's the dividing line LeBron's camp refuses to acknowledge. You can't force greatness. You can't market your way into history. True greatness is earned, proven, and passed down through admiration, not self-promotion. Until LeBron understands that, he'll always stand just outside the circle of the true GOATs. If you felt the truth in this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you never miss the raw, unfiltered truth. See you in the next one.